it's overwhelming, but it's also our jobs.
Our job is only going to get harder.
It's worrisome.
This is something that's unprecedented.
Now is not the time to be a cowboy. No one has anything to prove. We're all in this together.
Welcome to Reporting from the Frontline of a Pandemic. I'm Maya Huter, and I'm here with Catherine Casey, a senior content producer at CBS Interactive. Thank you, Catherine, for joining me.
Thank you.
So can you just start by telling me a little bit about what you do at CBS?
So I oversee a political show on CBS News' streaming service, CBSN. The show is called Red and Blue. The last time we had a show, I think, was March 10th. On the 11th, probably around 3:45 in the afternoon. The show airs at 5. Our boss came in, told us that we all had to leave the building because someone that we work with had been diagnosed with coronavirus. So I had to quickly cancel all of the guests and everything we had going on for the show that day. At first we thought that it would have just been a 2-day pause, like where they would clean the building. But we haven't been back since. But typically I oversee that show. It's an hour long every day. It starts off with like a political panel. We go over usually whatever the biggest news of the day is, whether it's stuff from the White House or Congress. And we usually have 3 or 4 other chats mixed in, of whether it's about policy or any type of larger chats that we could do that are all politics based.
So CBS was kind of one of the first, major networks that closed down because of a positive case in the building. Can you tell me a little bit about what that felt like when you first found out?
It felt a little surreal. Probably like the week before, they had a lot more like Clorox wipes and Purell dispensers put in. But then, and I was kind of surprised, I guess, that we were the first ones, but then we kind of have one entrance into the entire network. So it's kind of, I guess it was kind of hard to avoid being in contact with anyone who was sick. I think they made the right decision in closing. I know like some people still have to go to work all the time, but I feel fortunate that I don't necessarily have to, even though the adjustment from working in the office, working from home has been challenging, more so for some other people than me, but it was definitely a sharp adjustment.
So can you tell me a little bit about that adjustment and how you've had to adjust the way you work now?
Yeah, so at first, like I said, we thought that it would have been like a 2-day cleaning thing, and everyone, I think, kind of felt like, okay, cool, we'll have a long weekend. But I took my work laptop with me because I was like, I don't know whenever we're coming back here next. So at least I had a laptop with the NPS on it so I could build stuff from home. But for those, I think the last day we were in the office was a Wednesday. So then Thursday, Friday, I think they kind of, not me particularly, but everyone who does all of like the technical work at CBSN had to literally, like, I think in their kitchens build like a director wall and like a network to kind of keep us up, because CBSN is on 24 hours a day. Not necessarily with all live content, but they needed to have something playing. So at least CBSN has like our national stream. Then we also, a lot of the CBS O&O stations have like CBSN locals. So I think we pretty immediately looped in CBSN Boston, and they became the national stream. It took a select group of people, like literally 24 straight hours of work to get it up and running. But we like really have been relying heavily on our local CBSN local stations to keep us programming throughout the day. But then also we had to keep up a schedule that was like, in the morning we'll take Boston, and then as it gets later in the evening they'll take CBSN Los Angeles, and it kind of like moves across the country as the day goes on. But we have, CBSN has started doing more and more of our own content with our own anchors, I guess in the past almost 4 weeks now.
So since the show that you oversee has not been airing as normal, how have your day-to-day responsibilities changed?
Yeah, they definitely changed. Usually my schedule, because the show is at 5, usually I typically work, my hours in the office are usually like noon to 9, but I probably start working at like 9 in the morning, making sure we have guests booked and like, scheduling conflicts or conflicts with booking cameras for guests, and things like that. So then since then, I've kind of like, me and my normal team have kind of like combined with the other evening team. My show airs at 5. There's another show that airs at 7. That's not all politics, it's like national news. So our teams have basically combined. We've kind of overtaken the White House coronavirus task force briefings, and that's basically become the show for the evening. And then after that's done, they'll go back into the CBS and locals. But so basically my job now has been like copy editing all of that evening coverage. So basically we have a team of like segment producers and APs who will write readers and package intros and stuff like that for the CBS and local station in the evening, so that they don't have to like do everything because they have their regular jobs to do. So we will write content for them that they can add to their news wheel. And they'll have segment producers produce conversations with our political reporters, both before and after the task force briefings. And then we just now did another conversation with a medical doctor in New York. So that'll air overnight also. So we're slowly but surely kind of getting back into things. It's just really weird because like our director wall is like literally a Zoom conference call, and it looks crazy, and I can send you a picture. It like looks crazy, and we have an app so that basically acts like a McCurdy. Yeah, so it's a lot of, we have to do a lot of communication normally during the daytime between director, producers, APs, our bosses, but now it's like literally all over a conference call and GChat, and even like our director via Zoom.
So would you say that the communication aspect of it has been kind of one of the biggest challenges?
I mean, probably. It was like a lot of it still is like literally getting people the hardware to do their jobs. Like people are still waiting. Some people are still waiting to get laptops with the MPS on it just so they can access like news wires easier. And like we aren't even using EMPS technically right now, but it's just like helpful to have. We're writing all of our scripts in Google Docs and basing off of that. And then I think the anchors are like, some of them have an app that acts like a prompter that just like automatically goes with their voice. Like I don't know all the technical stuff on that, but like that's been a challenge. They've basically all made studios in their apartments and homes. So yeah, I think it's taken a few weeks, but we're finally, like, I think the team that usually works in the morning, like they did a full hour of programming today, which is crazy to me because I feel like even back when we were in our normal control room, like switching between Skypes was like an ordeal sometimes. But now I'm like, we do literally everything over Skype. So I hope when we go back, we can figure out how to make things in the control room a little easier, considering that we're doing everything remotely now.
Yeah, it sounds like, just a big adjustment period. So other than having people work from home and all these other things you've talked about, what kind of precautions is CBS taking as a network to make sure that its employees are safe?
Like literally as soon as we found out that someone that we in the office or in our building, I don't even think it was in our office, it was somewhere else in like a few floors away from us in our building, they completely shut down the broadcast center, which I appreciated. For everyone, they're like, no one's out in the building for X amount of days. And then there was always like a plan to go back the next week, and they kept pushing it back. I think because they like had learned about like other people who had been infected, and then they also I think like HR reached out to every single person that person may have been in contact with, just so people were aware. And then I think like very quickly, if our last day was Wednesday, I think on like that Friday, they were like, all of CBS and is not coming back for 14 days as a precaution. And we were like, okay, how are we gonna, like, it was like, I think like the whole week before we were trying to plan of how to do things remotely. but no one thought it would escalate that quickly. So it was a really fast turnaround to get everyone working from home. But I'm happy they acted fast, because like I think now like a half dozen people that I work with were contracted it, and luckily they're all fine. But still, like I think the company acted fast.
And now that you have been working from home, how do you balance that work and home life?
It's weird. So usually, I live with my boyfriend, and we usually work opposite schedules because I work kind of later. And New York City apartments are not very big, so it's kind of hard because it's like everyone's home all day. You can't really do anything else. So it's been an adjustment, but it's like, I don't know, taking breaks, going outside. I don't work from home. It's never really an option, especially in news. Like you can't do it. So learning how to do it and then like literally relearning how to do a job in a completely different way has been something that was unexpected and still learning.
So on top of all this, you live in New York City, which is kind of the epicenter of the US right now. What does that feel like to live in kind of what is kind of the face of this pandemic in the US?
It's a little eerie. Like usually I live in a very like busy neighborhood, a lot of like bars and restaurants, people going out all the time, and now it's silent. Like you can hear birds chirping. It's like that or sirens pretty much. It's a little strange. But and it's like we like all of our own reporters are like reporting on stories that like may actually affect them. And someone at CBS News actually passed away from COVID-19. So I know that really affected a lot of people. I didn't work with her personally, but I know people who did. So that was something the company like has been like reaching out to a lot of people about in case they needed like any grievance counseling, which I thought was really good. But yeah, being in New York has been strange. It's not like the most like apparent thing obviously when you go outside is like there's no people, which is a good thing. But yeah, it's very strange.
And what kind of advice would you have for somebody who wants to go into broadcast journalism, especially in a time like this?
I mean, even before this, like I graduated in 2016, and I've always liked politics news. I wanted to work in politics. And like I think I started working on CBSN right before the conventions, and like literally every month you could have said like there's never been a better time to work in news. There's so much news. There's too much news. And like that is still true. Like it's a great time to be in news, not just because there's so much of it, but also it's like literally life-saving in some cases, especially now. Whether it's this or like we're like hurricane season in the fall. Like I think a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, like the New York Times like covering from some hurricane. Someone, I think it was in Puerto Rico, someone was watching CBSN on their phone, and like that was in the photo because like TVs were out because there was no electricity. But like if you can stream news on your phone, like that can inform people. So it's not like there's ever a shortage of news, even in the past 5 years. But like people really rely on it, and I think like that's really showing. I think even in local news, like more people are watching local news now than they have in like 15 years. So I think that's something to like look forward to if you're graduating. You can like do a lot of good.
My last question is just, is there anything else you'd like to add about this whole experience?
I don't know. I guess like we're still in it, so I'm still. It still doesn't feel really real. Like I think someone mentioned to me yesterday, like, oh my God, it's been like basically a month. And that seems crazy to me because it's like time seems slow and fast at the same time. and we're still definitely adjusting. And I think we still have to adjust because we just don't know how long this will last, or if we're going to have to do it again. So I think we're just like really coming up with ways of getting our own show back on the air in a more complete way, while also trying to make sure people are like happy, healthy, safe. And like, I'm glad that that's been a priority.
Well, thank you, Catherine, for taking the time to talk to me, and thanks for the work you're doing to keep us informed and safe. And thanks to all of you for watching this episode of Reporting from the Frontline of a Pandemic. I've been talking with Catherine Casey, a senior content producer at CBS Interactive. I'm Maya Huter.